What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Upper Left RC. Today we're going to be taking a look at this guy, the Racent 4x4 radio-controlled four-wheel drive crawler. It's a 1/24th scale mini crawler, and it's a knockoff. Let's take a look at it. This is the Racent 4x4 1/24 scale mini crawler. It is basically a direct ripoff or knockoff of the SCX24, but does that make it bad? Let's dive into it, take a look, see what it's been inspired by, see what kind of parts we're working with, if it sucks, and can we make it any better? All right, so right out of the gate, the first thing this truck has going for it is a hard body, and it's a well-detailed hard body at that. It also includes a full light kit. You've got rear lights, headlights, and blinkers. Probably disconnect those at some point. I'm not a big fan of blinkers, but it's got them. Looking at the two side by side, you can see that the tires are almost identical. We don't have Nitto trail grapplers, Nitto, I don't know how to pronounce it, but we have a very similar tire. The tread patterns, almost identical. Sidewalls, almost identical. The wheel design, I'm going to say identical. Very, very close. You do get a full-size spare on this thing, but I do like the fact that it is a hard body. It's a pretty cool option, especially if you're into Jeeps. Comparing it next to an SCX24 Jeep, you can see it just doesn't quite have the same level of detail when all you've got is a bunch of decals. Axial also came out with a hard body, the Bronco, and I think we can find ways to make this usable with the hard body as a crawler, or if you just want a trail truck. The weight is pretty cool. It seems well built from the outside, but I think we need to get on the inside and take a look. So looking at the insides here, the hard body has posts at the bottom, 4 of them. So the body just slides right out. And these posts right here are held in these holes with clips through the bottom. You just put your normal standard body clips through the bottom so you don't have to see them. That's kind of a nice design. The headlights, you do get a little switchboard here. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if switchboard's right, but some sort of little board here for your lights that come with an 8-point plug. So the ESC on this thing, right out of the gate, is not usable other than this truck. These 8 pins are all dedicated to lights only, and then you have a steering plug and your battery and motor port. That's it. Very basic, very simple. At this price point, this is $85.99. I don't know if I already said that, so it is quite a bit cheaper than an SCX24, but is it worth the price? That's what we're going to find out. So let's take a look inside this guy. And right away you can see some similarities. So we're going to remove this body. There are quite a few things that are different, quite a few things that are the same, one of which is the battery tray with Velcro. Now you'll see the battery tray has a notch here, indicating that you could probably put quite a bigger motor in here. They've already included clearance room for it, so you could pop that in. The transmission, most definitely almost a direct knockoff. So you could see right at the end of the transmission there, boop, right where my finger is, that little symbol on the end of that post. That almost looks like an Axial logo. The shape and design of the transmission, pretty much identical. Drive shafts are very similar. Links are the same design, but these are actually different length links than we've seen on any of the SCX24s. So it looks like the rear links are 64.3 millimeters, 45.28 for the front. It's somewhere between a C10 and a deadbolt. The front is quite a bit longer than the rear. I say quite a bit, that's not exactly accurate, but it is shorter than a C10 in the front and longer than a deadbolt in the front as far as links go. Same with the rear. So it's kind of nice that we can get a different link length added to our inventory, especially for people who like to swap, mod, and change lengths. Looking at the rear axles here, they are pretty much a direct knockoff. They might even be the exact same axles. The cover here is the same cover without the Axial logo. And if I can find the photos that are on Amazon for this product, I'm gonna throw it up on the screen right now. It actually has the little Axial logo on the diff cover in the photo. It'll appear right here on screen already if it's there. I thought that was hilarious. They're not trying to hide it, it seems like. Shocks, they're very, very similar to an SCX24 shock. They don't have the little oil reservoir barrel thing, but they feel and look pretty much the same. The chassis design is different. So that's where we're going to start seeing a pretty significant difference. Rather than have a C-channel chassis, it has these stamped flat bars. They've got some posts right here for different mounting points, it looks like, if you want to move that battery tray up. Chassis are completely flat rails. They are a little bit different in size. I know some people are going to wonder if they can just take these trays and the body and mount them straight to an SCX24. Unfortunately, the mounting points for this tray are at the very ends here, and these are much longer or wider than the rails on an SCX24. So where these would mount, you don't really have mounting points. It would be somewhere out like right here on either end of the chassis. The motor, very similar, tiny little guy, probably the same size, probably the same motor, although it doesn't have a sticker on it, and it's got one of those little boards on the end again. So this is where we're going to get into another one of the things that makes this odd and kind of a bummer, is the steering servo is very long, front to back, very narrow, side to side. It doesn't have a servo saver, but it doesn't seem like the strongest servo in the world. Finding something that's going to get that much clearance is going to be pretty tough. I'm going to take this out and show you why. All right, so we've got the servo here. We're going to just pull that out. This servo tray is very odd and different, but it mounts the same way on the axials right on top of the axle here, and that's because I'm still pretty certain that this manufacturer makes the axles for the SCX24 unless they found a way to reproduce an almost identical copy. Let's take a look at the servo though. So the servo is kind of funny looking the way it mounts in here. It's got this little tray. I've already took the screws out. This holds it on top. Pull this out. The servo looks like it's been super glued or black tape glued, I don't know what that is, together. And the tabs, you could see it used to have the little ears on the side like a normal servo does. They just cut those off. Like, we don't need those. We need clearance. So they kind of manufactured and modded a servo. It looks like maybe they spliced a couple together, cut it up, put some bird crap on it to hold the wires in there and make it waterproof-ish. I don't know. I don't think it says waterproof on the box, but who knows. But this weird little tray that holds it, never seen anything like this before. Maybe one of you in the comments could let me know if you've seen a servo design like this before, but I haven't. It's got a fairly short lead, which is nice. I don't know if the servo has a ton of power or not. We're going to test that, but I just thought it was kind of a weird setup. And the reason these tabs are cut off is so that it has clearance in here, especially when the front bumper's on. It mounts with posts on the inside of the rails here, so you need some clearance. And putting a normal servo on here, I don't know if it's going to fit very well. I've got a Emax servo here, an old one. And if we just slide that right on top, it mounts right on top of the axle, just like a normal one. We've got very little clearance, and with these bumper posts in here, let's just slide that on top, we've got even less clearance. It's going to be the tightest fit ever. It doesn't even really fit. You can see where those ears mount. It doesn't really slide between where this plastic is for the bumper. Now, if you take the bumper off, it looks like we're still going to be hitting. We have the axle totally flat, not rolled forward like that. Totally flat. We are hitting that brace right there. I can even lock it in above it if I wedge it in there. Now we've got fully compressed suspension. So having a normal servo on there doesn't look like it's an option. If you want to swap to a better servo, if this one's crap, we're going to have to find a way to mod this and get it out of the way. All right, so looking inside the axle here, we do have metal gears as stated on the box. Probably need a little grease in there maybe, who knows, but it does have that worm gear setup, so you should be able to get some pretty good crawling out of it. But it does also have bearings. It says it has 15 bearings, including in the truck, so no bushings here. All right, let's jump into a few more quirks of this thing. So when you're turning it on, this controller is, not great. All these are like individual buttons that look like rockers, but you can feel they're kind of flexing. Has a fake dummy button here. Standard stuff: throttle, dual rate, steering trim, reverse the throttle. and the LED light. So with this truck, one of its funny little party pieces is that if you want to turn the truck on, you have to first plug the battery in, turn the ESC on, and then turn the controller on. Within the first 5 seconds, you'll hear an obnoxious beep, and then it's paired. So unlike all other RC cars, you actually have to turn the truck on first, then the remote. If you do it the other way around, it doesn't pair, it doesn't find it. It's so weird. I had to look through the instruction manual to figure that out. It was driving me nuts. On my controller, the on switch, when I was first turning it on, would stop about there. It wouldn't quite turn on. I thought the remote was broken. The switch was just kind of bugged. I really had to jam it up in there to get it on, but we should be good to go now. One thing I did notice, the dual rate, steering dual rate. Whoa. You get that annoying beep every time you turn something on. Every time you turn the controller and truck off, the dual rate turns basically all the way down by default. It will not stay where you left it last, so you're going to have to do that every time. And this is full steering. It's absolute garbage for an angle. It does not turn any tighter than that. Steering dual rates all the way up, and that's all you're going to get out of it. I don't know if that's a lack of the ESC or the servo. I imagine it's the ESC, but that servo does not want to turn any further than that. Let's check out the throttle. Easing into it. You can hear the whine. Super slow. That is its slow crawl. It is not very slow. Let's see what it does with an obstacle in its way. Whining, 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 whining. Hey, half throttle, and it jumps over. So not really good modulation on the throttle. I, again, believe that the ESC receiver combo is probably a kind of piece of crap, but that's mostly what I expected. Let's see, one more time, let's try. See if I can get the front wheels to get up there and stay. Oh, and it just jumps right over. There we go. Bump the throttle a little bit. All right. The other thing I noticed I want to talk about is this V-link down here. The upper support actually hits that drive shaft pretty obnoxiously. Look at that thing bounce. It doesn't have a little notch in it for the drive shaft like the ones on the SCX24s or other mini crawler models. Even at full droop, where the drive shaft should be furthest away from it. Look at all that chatter. You can see the wheels stalling. You can see it bouncing. It is bad. Obviously, you can take a knife to it, notch that out. I'm probably going to have to. That might also have something to do with the slow control putting all that strain on the system, but it's pretty bad right out of the gate. All right, let's take a look at the body itself, the reason you might want to pick one of these up. This is a very nice detailed hard body. It does come with lights. You can see the hazards are on right now, headlights and tail lights. They're pretty bright, not too bad, not super dim. The hazards, this is a default thing. I couldn't find anywhere in the settings to turn it off. If I use throttle, they turn off. If it sits here long enough without any input, I'll put the controller over here, hands off it, the hazards just kick on by default after, I don't know, 10 seconds maybe. So if you stop driving it or you walk away, there they go. They kick on. Little blip of the throttle or steering and they go off. And also you have blinkers by default. There's no settings or turning that off. Then again, if I'm going to swap the ESC, I'm not even going to have those lights. Fortunately, the truck does have light buckets. Remove a little hot glue and you can put your own lights in there. The blinkers, if you're good with electronics, you could probably wire those in. And the rear ones are light buckets as well, just a lot of glue on there, hot glue that you can peel off. So you can install your own lights in it. That's not an issue. It is cool that it comes with them, but I think most people who are going to buy this hopefully are going to upgrade the electronics and modify it. I think that's really kind of where the target market is going to excel for this. A lot of us take the electronics out of these anyways, upgrade the motors. Maybe you have a spare V2 ESC, which isn't bad, or you want to go brushless. This is a pretty good starting point for $85. And I think that's really what this is going to excel for. I think this is what people are going to buy it for. If you're just buying a crawler right out of the box, you see this on Amazon, it's cheaper, and you buy it and you're going to play with this, it's probably going to be a bit of a disappointment. All right, we've taken a look at the truck. Now let's see how it performs. Just going to crawl it around the course a bit here. Full lock on the steering. Can't even get it to turn onto the bridge. That steering is horrendous. This obstacle here is quite a bit of a side hill, obviously on camera. It's hard to tell how much of a roll this gives the truck, but let's see if we can make it up there. So far, it's doing decent, actually. Okay. Oh. All right, we rolled right off the course there, but the hard body endured it. Nothing broke, so that's nice. It's going to be a lot of bumping the throttle and shuddery driving with this ESC, but let's see if we can make it up this angle. Hey, there we go. Just floor it like a madman. It'll get up there. All right, let's come back down as slow as we possibly can, and it just runs away from you so quick. It's a good looking truck though, I'll give it that. It just needs better electronics. Let's see how far we can make it up this mountain. Oh boy. Reverse just shoots back down. As you can see, this is not that steep. Again, it is a hard body. That spare tire adds a bit of weight in the back, but these tires just don't want to hook up. They're much stiffer, I will say. These tires are much stiffer than the Nitto grapplers that come on the stock axials. They might be the same design, same look, but they are very hard. Oh, hey, there we go. Okay, made it that far. Now, can we make it further? Okay. Absolutely no steering. Well, we can try and come down maybe. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, we're stuck. Doesn't quite have the clearance. There we go. Bash it out of there. See if we can make it up this. Excuse me while I do a 50-point turn. There we go. We're lined up. Oh, it's so bad. Okay. Let's say there's a 100% chance we don't make it up this. Yeah, not gonna happen. Let's get some help from the winch. There we go. We're up, winch is off, and we can keep on rolling. Hey, back where we started. That's what I like to see. All right, so one of the other very tough obstacles on my course is this bridge. It certainly doesn't look it, especially with some of the rigs I have that can get across pretty easily, but with this thing, I think we're going to struggle. A little more throttle control, it'd be much appreciated. It's about just wide enough to get this thing across. There we go. I think we did it. It's going to want to roll here. Yeah. So, the Racent 4x4 124 scale crawler. What do we think? Well, I think this is kind of like an SCX24 builder's kit. If you have always wanted them to make some sort of kit that came out with no electronics in it, because you're going to put your own custom ones in, you just want the bones to work with, a good base, a good foundation, especially with a hard body, then this is the perfect rig for that person. Personally, that's why I bought it. You're saving, I mean, $85 for this, 115 up to 140 or whatever they are for the SCX24s, depending on the model. So this is your kit. Imagine it doesn't have electronics. That's probably what Axial would price theirs at, if not a little more. You're gonna rip the guts out of this thing and run it with a different ESC. I think this has a ton of potential, and based on the way the axles are and the skid plate and the links, a lot of the current upgrades are going to fit on this. So these knuckles here, steering knuckles, identical to the SCX24. Steering linkage, identical. Axle shafts, guts inside the axle, identical. Links, different lengths, but same design, same mounting points. The electronics, rip those out, put some good ones in, you're good to go. I mean, this definitely has potential for a really cool kit to mod with. Out of the box, just a truck to run and enjoy, not great. We are going to upgrade this thing. I'm going to release another video where I take the stock electronics out of an Axial, throw them in this, run it, see what we can do, and then we're going to take this thing to a full-on custom build, brushless, all that jazz. We'll see how it does then. I'm going to have to replace this V-link, and because it's slightly different length, or Y-link, whatever this is, I'm either going to have to cut it up, mod it so it quits hitting that axle, or find one that'll fit. But overall, I'm not disappointed with my purchase. But if I was buying this for, you know, a first-time RCer or a kid who wanted to play with the 24 scale crawler, this would be a serious bummer for them, I think. It's just not up to snuff and up to standard from what we've expected from big brand name companies. It is a knockoff. It should be treated as such, but it should also be treated like a really cool project that you can mod and upgrade. So, those are my final thoughts. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know down in the comments. Are you going to be picking one up? Have you already picked one up? What kind of mods would you do to it? And if there's any questions you have that I didn't get to in the video, let me know. I read all the comments. I'll get back to you. If you need measurements, links, lengths, whatever. Oh, the other thing I'll add real quick, it does run the same size nut here as the SCX24. Same hexes on the back, same little pins. Everything's the same there. The axles are a direct ripoff. So thanks again for watching, guys. Appreciate it. See you in the next one.